Lawrence Wright is a staff writer for The New Yorker, a playwright, and a screenwriter. He wrote a great film called The Siege, which we've talked about. I thought it was a great film with Denzel Washington, Annette Bening, and
Tony Shalhoub.
And Tony Shalhoub,
Yeah.
and Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Maybe you'll say something
Yeah,
about
they paid him
Bruce.
$10 million and had to read his lines to him.
He is the best-selling author of Mr. Texas, The End of October, a prescient novel about the lethal virus spreading across the globe, which was published just as COVID was spreading across the globe in 2020, and 10 books of nonfiction, including Going Clear, God Save Texas, and The Looming Tower, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. He and his wife, Roberta, are longtime residents of Austin, Texas. Is this working, this microphone?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I hear feedback, so it's a little strange. Bear with me for a little more, because Larry Wright is the kind of person, when you consider in great depth and learn that he's a person of tremendous energy, broad interests, boundless ideas, fascinating experience, courage, and integrity. And to quote Mark Updegrove, he's a wonderful guy.
Oh, you had to find Mark to get somebody to say that?
Well, that's an interesting question. Okay, well, that was just today. Okay. He and Roberta lived in Cairo in their early married life, which gave him some amount of comfort later years in researching the Looming Tower, when he was the only Westerner in a very hostile, well, perhaps hostile environment in the Middle East. He's also extremely funny and musical. He's the keyboardist in Austin band Hoodoo, as you'll learn today, and as you'll experience with Sonny Lamb, Mr. Texas. How many of you here have read the book?
Oh, that's great.
Okay. Well, I don't want to give away.
Yeah, don't spoil it, yeah.
Don't spoil it. Well, anyway, I don't think it's giving it away to say that Mr. Texas is about a young, somewhat aimless West Texan who's discovered by L.D. Sparks, the consummate Austin political fixer, and propelled, much to about everyone's surprise, into the Texas House. I learned this morning from another great Texas author, Steve Harrigan, that a book worth reading is determined in its first sentence.
It is what?
Worth reading.
Oh.
Based on the first
He
sentence.
judges that quickly?
That's what he said for Elizabeth, the very
Wow.
first. So here's the first sentence of Mr. Texas. I don't know if you'll agree, but I think the book is fabulous. A long trail of dust trailed behind the black sedan racing down a caliche road toward the Walter Dunn spread. It's appropriate that we're here in the First United Methodist Church, as it's the setting for an important scene in the book. Mm-hmm. So Larry, do you want to first talk about these oversized characters in the book, or?
Yeah, this is actually the reason there was a scene in this church is that John Connolly's funeral was here, and I was in attendance, and it's where I got to meet Richard Nixon, who came up in a big black Lincoln and stepped out and went. So naturally, I thought this would be a perfect venue for a crucial scene in the book.
Do you want to talk about L.D. Sparks or Lurleen or Big Bob?
Oh, I could talk about all those people. I guess what you're angling at is that they're not all based entirely on one or another figure in Texas legislative history, but some are heavily indebted in that department. And in some ways, I reanimated some of our great folklore, characters, like Molly Ivins and Bob Bullock. They were just too good to leave aside. And instead of going back in history, I took certain characteristics, like the Speaker of the House, one of the main characters in the book, Big Bob Bigby. It's, it's not a spitting image of Bob Bullock, but like Bob, he was married 5 times and was a terrible alcoholic, and all those things that made Bob Bullock's life so complicated. And the truth is, Bullock was an inspiring figure for one reason. With all of the personal chaos in his life, everybody knew that he loved Texas, and he wouldn't do anything to harm it. You can't say that about everybody now, especially now. But so that was one of the things that I had in mind when I drew upon his personality somewhat. There are people, like Sonny Lamb is somebody that I totally invented. He's the hero of the book, and he's a West Texas rancher, a modern cowboy, facing the drought and trying to find a way to salvage the way of life that he grew up in. And so I made him up. But when I finished the book and had turned it in, I got a call from Glenn Rogers, who's a member of the House from Palo Pinto County, which is north of Fort Worth. And he was appealing to me as a reporter. He wanted me to understand how dirty Texas politics are. And so he asked to meet at Starbucks. And in walks this tall, lanky cowboy. He's also a vet, which Sonny is not, but he's a total idealist. And he's struggling with against these Midland oil men who are trying to wash all the good people out of politics with a flood of money. I fell in love. I said, this is Sonny Lamb. He walked in Starbucks and he sat down with me. And I said, he had all these things that he wanted me to do. And I said, Glenn, I already did it. It's in my novel. You're the hero here. So I felt very confirmed in my imagination, that I created a person that actually exists.
I thought I was sort of naive. No, I thought I was sort of realistic about Texas politics, but reading this book, I'm sort of shocked into believing I'm very naive about how dirty Texas politics are apparently.
I'm sorry to have to fiddle with this. Apparently my ear is the wrong size. The thing that I observe about Texas politics now is that historically Texas has never been corrupt. It's been problematic, and it's had a lot of shady characters, as every political system does. But we're not like Illinois, where they had 4 governors out of 7 in prison.
We don't believe in even convicting our corrupt.
That's exactly right. Right there. Oh God, I don't want to do this, but I am going to do it. I made up a joke about Ken Paxton, and it's based on an old Jewish joke that I was very fond of. But I hope this is a mature audience. Ken Paxton wakes up in the hospital, and he looks around, and there's a nurse standing there, and he says, "Where am I?" "Oh, you're in Seton." "Am I okay?" "Yeah, you were in a terrible car wreck." "Am I hurt?" "No, well, you lost your penis." "I did what?" "Well, don't worry about it, because these days we can fix you right up. We better than the original. You can get the standard 6 inches, or you can get the jumbo size. It's all up to you. And this has got to be really expensive. Don't worry, your friend Nate Paul's going to take care of everything. But you need to talk to your wife, Senator Paxton, and because I know she'll have an opinion about what choice you make. So later that afternoon, Angela is at his bedside, and the nurse comes back and says, "Did you make a decision? Was it the standard or the jumbo?" And Angela says, "We'll have the granite countertops." there's not going to be a long life for that joke, but I did have to seize the moment, you know.
I'll look forward to hearing the predecessor at some point. You know, this story reminded me a little of Carl Hyacint's stories about Florida because you talk about some pretty bizarre things in this book that are almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like the nutritional story about the prison.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all true.
Well, maybe you should.
Well, this was the head of the Texas prisons was in question about the diet of the prisoners because some reporters found out that he was serving them dog food. And so Bill Miller was, you know, the lobbyist that rescued him. He had to eat some Alpo in public, just so it's really nutritious and it's really good. But those things happen. I am so frustrated by this. All right. There's a plausibility problem sometimes with writing about Texas politics because people can't believe that those things actually happen. And when I first started this, it was I wrote it as a movie script, and I had some of you remember Mike Martin. Mike Martin was a representative from Longview, and he was in a tough re-election race, so naturally he had his cousin shoot him, and he wanted to get the sympathy vote, and and he said that mafia did it, which is not one of our big problems, you know. And so when he said mafia, that enlisted the Texas Rangers, who quickly figured out what was really going on. So they tracked him down to his mother's house in Longview, and he was hiding in the stereo cabinet. And Molly Ivins observed, he always did want to be the speaker. So that story was in the script, and out in Hollywood, like, this is just not realistic. You know, it's just over the top. And yeah, it probably is over the top because it's real. You know?
Well, I love the humorous stuff, but there's also some really scary stuff in here about, you know, sort of the political way that some people would like our state to go. Ted Cruz's father, for example.
Rafael Cruz, yeah. It was Glenn Rogers who acquainted me with this idea of dominionism. And it's a Christian nationalist idea that Ted Cruz's dad has been preaching about 7 mountains of culture, which are, you know, like government and media and education and so on, that have to be captured and dominated. And that's the agenda. And you know, it's so anti-democratic, you know, that it's dismaying to think that people are in office in a democracy who hate the system that put them there. But, you know, that's what we're faced with. Yep. And yes, there is kind of an author's message in here. I hope that we can steer Texas politics towards more compassion and more pragmatism, instead of being weighed down in these culture wars, which are so damaging, not just to us, but the whole country.
You know, the book is also outrageously funny in parts, and I would just say you have to buy the book, especially to read about certain fertility issues. But, you know, now we're going to have a special treat with Larry and his son Gordon with some music from what was going to be the musical of Mr. Texas.
I have to explain a little bit that, you know, this started out as a play. We had a couple of productions, what was then called Sonny's Last Shot at the State Theater, and Margot Lyon, a titan of Broadway. She produced Angels in America and Hairspray. She came down to see it and said it should be a musical. And so Marcia Ball and I started writing music. And then Margot changed her mind and said it should be a television series. So I sold a pilot to HBO, and then they fired my executive and killed all his projects. So no musical, no series. But once launched on the idea of music, I just couldn't get away from it. And so my son Gordon, who's here, is going to join me, and Marcia Ball have been writing a musical and based on this, and it's our dream that one day we're going to see this on the stage. So I'm going to give it a try at the piano, and Gordon is fortunately a much better singer than I am, so he'll help us through a couple of songs here. This first one is the first song I wrote. It's the lobbyist song, and there's a scene in the novel where Angela Martinez, this young representative from San Antonio, asked the lobbyist, "What exactly do you do?" And he tells her the brutal truth. So if I can keep my earpiece here, and yeah, all right. I hold the strings on human beings. I make them laugh, I make them dance, I make them cry. All right, wait a minute. Yeah, I've got a little guitar interlude here. I'm going to start again. I hold the strings on human beings. I make them laugh, I make them dance, I make them cry. They're in a trance. I pick them up or let them fall. I make them walk into a wall. They love me so, I'm all they know. I'm the man who holds the strings. They pray to me down on their knees. They ask me please if they can sneeze. I may say no, I'm such a tease. I hold their hand, I stroke their hair. I am their friend beyond compare. Satisfy their needs, sanctify their deeds. I'm the man who holds the strings. It's a grave responsibility to be someone like me, to have the capability to shape their tiny lives. Yeah, I got to chase this all over my head. All right, I'm going to give up trying to play the piano to keep this earpiece on. The rest of this doesn't need me at the piano. This is...
Here you go.
All right,
Finished up that. Did you want to finish your?
No, I think
Okay.
not. I think we'll
No
just
vocal.
yeah. All right.
All right.
This.
Just hold really, really still.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sing. Just like they taught you when you were a choir boy in Abilene.
Yeah. Why don't you tell them where this song comes from, Gordon?
Okay, so we're going to sing a song now, and I'm going to be Sonny Lamb. And you have to keep in mind that this story has this long arc, 25 years of being written. So it went through a lot of versions. But at one point, Marcia, my dad, and I had written up the whole thing, and we actually staged a reading over at Zach Scott, and we got to hear the whole thing. And then we realized that the musical was kind of missing that critical sort of moment, that sort of Act 3 moment where you realize the protagonist realizes how everything's going to unfold and what the true answer is. And so this is a song we wrote for Sonny, kind of at that moment of epiphany.
Yeah, what he learned from his experience.
It's not power. I've tasted power. It's not excitement, 'cause I've been excited. It's not money or possessions,
passions or obsessions that drive me to be this way. Sorrow and strife are footsteps on the sands of life. There and then they fade away. 'Cause the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters is love. It's not riches. You've had your share of wealth, and it's not the roar of the crowd. And what's it worth if you lose yourself? And what does life amount to when the votes are all counted? Our losses and our wins, and even all our sins disappear when it finally ends. 'Cause the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters is love. I'm not a perfect man by any means, more flawed than you know behind the scenes. Was foolish and I stumbled, was proud and now I'm humbled. But standing here before you with so much to live up to is a man with such regret, a man who never will forget that the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters is love. The only thing that matters, the only thing that matters, the only thing that matters is love.
So this last song, Big Bob, I've mentioned before, is on his deathbed. And he has a message to convey to Sonny. And it's about Texas. I have a fanciful idea that this could be the new Texas state song. Because after all, Texas, our Texas, there's room, I think, for a new song. But this is called Texas My Home. I've been round the world in my service days, been in French cafes, seen Russian plays. I ticked every one off my bucket list. There can't be too much I missed. You got your temples of Egypt, your fountains of Rome. You could fit them all in the Astrodome. But no matter wherever I roam, there's only one place I'll ever call home.
Texas, you gotta love her. When you need another chance, she'll always be there. When it's a friend you need, there'll be someone to care. That's why I love Texas, Texas my home.
Sonny has a different point of view.
And as a place that's okay in its own strange way, not much to shout about, I would say. It's a bit of a pity that it's not so pretty, and the weather at times is totally shitty. There's only one who holds me here, whose affections I cherish year to year. As long as we stay together, well, I'll say, Texas, I'm yours forever. Texas, you gotta love her. When you need another chance, she'll always be there. When it's a friend you need, there'll be someone to care. That's why I love Texas, Texas my home. Texas, you gotta love her. There's no place else I'd rather be. It's a one of a kind, it's a state of mind. That's why I love Texas. It's not just my home, it's me.